Oh, all right, there we go. Stream is up, which means we are likely live. What's going on, everybody? Here we are. We've made it to the end of the week. We've made it to the end of the month. Friday, May 31st, the day before the Champions League final, which is pretty much all that matters to me. It does not matter to my co-host. Adam, what's up, man? You excited for this 15-gamer?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Have a couple of tickets into some higher dollar stuff that I normally don't play, so
Nice.
pretty excited for it.
Yeah, that's fun. I thought about taking a step up today, and then I was just like, you know what? It's not out of the realm of possibility that I burn my entries and just go out at 5 o'clock tonight instead of paying attention. So, because the payout structure on that 10 on DK was like kind of flatter again, a little bit heavy on at the top, but they're the slow drip through like 15th and 20th was pretty nice. So I thought about it.
It's pretty solid. Like the 15K drop from first to second, I could do without, but other than that,
yeah,
like it's
better.
fine. I kind of like it actually because you get 25K to first, which like you do kind of want some top prize that's like somewhat exciting,
right?
And then from like second down, it's just like an incredibly well structured tournament.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, I'm happy that they're doing that from time to time. I wish they did it more often than time to time, but
I've been really happy with how frequently they're at this point. They're doing it like every other day.
Yeah. I peek in there and like some days it's just like, oh, you get $400 back for sixth or something stupid. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm not in this one today.
Yeah, exactly.
Today looks nice.
It makes such a big difference as far as long-term profitability is, especially if you're like a max entry guy.
Yeah, you don't have to you can finish 8th and know that at the very least you've brought yourself back to neutral. Whereas some days you're just like that could still just be and I'm still down.
Right. On so many slates, it's the difference between losing 50% of your buy-ins and breaking even.
Yeah, it's craziness. So kudos to them for doing that. MLB Strategy is the promo code. If you want to get some of our additional thoughts, potentially in our Slack channel, or all of our premium content, projections, rankings, ownership, articles, you name it, we've got it. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. So if you want to check it out, now's the time to do so. And as we always are on the Strategy Show, we are brought to you by Yahoo Sports. I'm grabbing the link right now to Emacs article. If you want to sign up at Yahoo, there is a link in the chat, or here we go. There is a link in the chat to Emacs article about Yahoo today. Friday is Yahoo days for us. And let's see where they're at today. On the screen right now, the $3 6K guaranteed, no management fee whatsoever contest is up again at Yahoo. They already have 1,500 people in it, so only 500 seats remaining. You got to get into this early, everybody. If you're trying to play in a contest, this is the one to do it. Use the link from the article that I posted. Use the promo code AWESEMO to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points and get yourself in this tournament. $30 to get in if you want to put all 10 entries in. The 10 max, no CSV imports, and you get to play it without a management fee. It's the best contest running all day on any site, and you should try to get in it as quick as you can because there's not a lot of room remaining. Not that the rest of the contests aren't great. They have lower management fees than other places you'll see in the industry, which is, again, a major, major benefit. Anytime that you can make more money passively in this sport, you should do it. And Yahoo makes it a little bit easier. So go check it out. The link's in the chat. What are you waiting for? Go do it. 15 games, man. We got a lot to talk about. And DraftKings dropping the ball today, in my opinion. I don't know what they're doing with pricing for pitching. I think it's going to be a very interesting experience for everyone. I'm really anxious to see the ownership, which reminds me. Let me ping the boss man. Get him on it. Because I think we're going to see some really big extremes, which could lead to interesting spots to pivot in large field tournaments. But let's start it off now. The series that everybody loves to watch because it takes 25 hours to get through a game. Yankees and Red Sox. 4.9 run implied total for the Yanks. 4.5 for the Sox. 54% chance to win for New York. J.A. Happ going for the Yankees. Chris Sale going for the Red Sox. Look, I like Sale. I think he's a really nice option today. I don't mind the price tags. He's not the most expensive guy in the world. but he's like not as cheap as some of these other guys that are just getting stupid prices. So I don't get the sense that I'll be getting to a lot of sale other than as like a pay up to be contrarian option, because I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership. What do you think?
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now as well. It's not a great matchup either. Obviously Sale's the most talented player in the matchup, but
Yeah.
it's just that there's not a ton of strikeouts in this Yankees lineup without Judge or Stanton. Obviously less power, but less strikeouts. But the thing that really stands out is what you said, and it's that, it's not that Sale's too expensive for Sale, but when you're just trying to look at ceiling in tournaments and how to, get as much into your lineup as you can, you have Trevor Bauer against the White Sox for less. You have Caleb Smith against the Padres for less. You have a lot of really high upside pitchers on this slate that are less expensive. So I think that in a lot of builds, I'll just end up saving that money. I do think it's worth pointing out, obviously, like if you look at sales numbers for the entire season, they're really good at this point. But when I wrote the deep dive article yesterday, I went back in and just dropped his first 4 games, which obviously, if you're just dropping stuff from a sample size, it's not the best thing to do. But since I do think there was just something wrong with him, I was curious to see like what his numbers were like after those first 4 starts where he was just getting no swings and misses on his fastball. He has a 41% strikeout percentage over the next 7 starts. His called strike plus swinging strike percentage is basically identical to Blake Snell's season long, which is first in baseball. He's been, obviously legitimately dominant outside of those first 4 starts.
I'm assuming we'll be on the same page here in that any number of Chris Sale that you see today, you won't go out of your way to change.
Right.
So, like, you get 5%, you're like, oh, it's just not going to be a Chris Sale day. If you get 25, you're like, oh, that worked out differently than I thought, but at least he's still Chris Sale.
Right, and like I'd be perfectly happy with it. If I got like 25% Chris Sale, I'd be happy. If I got 5% Chris Sale, I'd be really scared. But I wouldn't change it because I just think that it's fine.
Okay, same page there. Before we go on any further, can we talk about how ridiculous it is that that NBA millionaire tournament was a single winner?
It made me not that it would have mattered, but it made me upset that I didn't put more than 30 seconds into it because I was just like, yeah, whatever. I'll just run some lineups in here. I have some tickets and I'll get some money back.
Yeah.
And then the guy like single entry ships it for $1 million. And I was like, damn, I kind of wish I had at least paid attention to the lineups I was putting in.
I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah.
Especially with the lineup he had. Like, it's not as if there was someone in it that was just like, okay, I didn't expect that guy to even play today.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not like there was an injury or something, or Jonas Jerebko made 9 3-pointers. Like, the build he had was basically the build that I was getting in a lot of my lineups. Sean Livingston or a Quinn Cook or just one of those guys that was going to play and probably not do much. And then, getting to a bunch of Siakam and Leonard and Curry and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it was obviously it wasn't a chalky build, but it was I thought it was a chalky build. Like, I was very surprised that's what took it down by itself.
Yeah, so kudos to that guy for pulling off the clean millie. I mean, we made jokes for like 2 days about how it was going to be like a 1,000-person chop, and then all of a sudden it was just like, nope, one individual person. I called it fraudulent that they even acknowledged that it was like $1 million to first thing. I was like, no one can do that. God, man, I can't even be right when I'm like, it's more than likely that I'm right. Awfulness. Any JA hap for you?
No. Terrible matchup against the Red Sox. Hasn't been the strikeout guy this year that he has in for the last year. He's kind of reverted back to what he was earlier in his career. He's striking out like 20% of hitters. Just not a spot where I want to get to him. I think that if I'm going to take a chance on a relatively cheap SP2, there's a couple that I would rather get to.
Yeah, same page here. How are you feeling about Red Sox and or Yankees bats? I see the Red Sox, as of right now, grading out really well. They have a ton of, right-handed power in their lineup. Well, they have a ton of just talent in their lineup outside of Sandy Leon. And I think that I'm going to end up with some Red Sox here, even though there's no way I have this line in here, right? The Yankees aren't the favorites in this game, are they?
No.
Yeah, I must have that backwards. I see myself getting to some Red Sox. They look pretty damn tasty to me today. Nothing really expensive, and with the way pitching's set up, you have extra money.
Yeah, I seen myself getting there too, especially JD Martinez. He's 4,700 on DraftKings. He's an excellent hitter overall, of course, but also, tons of power against lefties, well over 300 ISO since 2017. A Woba pushing like 500. I mean, he's ridiculously good, and Hap has no issue giving up home runs. So JD really sticks out.
Yeah, I updated the line here. I had them flip flopped. So it's just gonna make me like the Red Sox bats more and Chris Sale more. So now the Red Sox have a bigger implied total. God, I entered it wrong again. How is it possible that I can be wrong twice immediately, even after knowing that I'm wrong? It's not great. Not great for me. But yeah, bigger implied total is going to push the Red Sox higher. Lower implied total for the Yankees is going to push Sale a little bit higher for me. I don't know. I have very little interest in Yankees bats against Sale, especially if he doesn't get much ownership. There's not going to be a ton of reasons for me to hedge. I'll always have some interest in like Gary Sanchez just because he's fantastic, but I expect the Red Sox to be one of my more owned stacks today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that out of the non-Rocky stacks, they're one of my highest.
Yeah, JD is jumping off the page right now. Straight across the board, 21 on Yahoo, 42 on FanDuel, 47 on DK. Looks good. Looks real good. Anybody standing out to you at all from the Yankees?
No, I mean Chris Sale is really good. Gary Sanchez would be the guy that I would have interest in because catcher's never really that strong and he's really really good. But we didn't get any sort of discount on Gary Sanchez going against Sale, so I don't see the need to do that.
Okay. Moving on. Pirates and Brewers. Pirates 4.5 run implied total. Brewers 4.6, 52% chance to win for Milwaukee. Chris Archer going for the Pirates. Julie Chassin going for the Brewers. I can't imagine having either one of these guys. I wish that I would roster Archer just because I want to be there on the day that like he pitches like we think that he should sometimes. But he's bad. And I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, and the Brewers are good, and he's just not as cheap as some other guys that I actually have some interest in. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's not like last night where Musgrove was 6K and all the SP2s sucked, and you're just hoping that he can get some kind of like serviceable outing against the Brewers. Now you have 30 pitchers on the slate, and a mid 7K price tag on Archer. It's a tough matchup. A lot of left-handed power here. He's always been much better against righties than lefties. This year, he's actually striking out more lefties than righties, which is surprising. But he's still giving up power. It's just not a spot where I see myself getting to.
I mean, his last start against the Dodgers, 6 walks in 5 innings, 3 Ks. Like he's a 5.3 walks per 9 right now.
Yeah, he has.
Where'd he get? What happened to Chris Archer?
He has an 8.7 K minus BB percentage this season, which might be the lowest on the slate. It is the lowest on the slate except for Ulysses Chassin,
who we are also not rostering, I'm sure.
I would never say with certainty I'm not rostering a $5,300 pitcher, but he's definitely not one of my preferred cheap guys.
Yeah. I mean, there are no strikeouts in this Pirates lineup. Chassin not exactly mowing people down either. I might end up with a percent or two, but I hope that I'm not over the field.
I had 18% Manny Benuelos yesterday and 24% Ryan Carpenter the day before that. So I'm definitely not ruling out that I end up with some Chassin. But
yeah, it sounds like you like rostering garbage. So yeah, fine. Bats, Pirates, Brewers. I can't imagine that the Pirates are very interesting. I assume that the Brewers are at least mildly interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's where I'm at. The one guy on the Pirates that I would have some interest in would be Josh Bell, but he's super, super expensive. And so I doubt that I really get there much on this slate. But as far as Milwaukee goes, some pretty reasonable price tags. Mike Moustakas stands out, especially on DraftKings where he has second base and third base eligibility. Yeah. He's only 4,400. So you get, a 230 ISO at second base for a mid-range price tag. That's pretty appealing, especially against, Archer, who when he's not walking guys does give up home runs. It's a really high upside stack. It's just that, they are in Pittsburgh. It is a park downgrade. I think I would rather be looking to one-offs, whether it's Moustakas, Grandal at 4,400 at catcher is a really appealing price tag as well. Those are the two that really stand out to me. Yelich obviously is great, but he's almost 6K, and he does lose out by not being in Miller Park.
Yeah, only solid piece here. Left-handed power is relatively neutral in Pittsburgh. It's right-handed power that dies a slow death. So you need any sort of silver lining for it. I'll have some just because of their power potential, but
it's still much worse than it is.
Yeah, for sure. It's a giant downgrade from his home park. That's for sure. I'll have some just because of their power potential. I do every week, or I do every day, basically, and this is no different, especially with the way that Archer is putting runners on base from a walk perspective. That is dangerous against a team with so much power. You don't want extra base runners against Milwaukee. That's when you start getting those 3-run dongs that push you to the top of a leaderboard. Orioles and Giants. There's a game that I didn't expect to talk about. 4.5 run implied total for the Orioles, 4.7 for the Giants, 52% chance to win for San Francisco. Andrew Kashner going for the Orioles, Drew Pomeranz going for the Giants. It's amazing how much different this game is being played in Baltimore compared to if it was played in San Francisco. Like night and day. I won't have Kashner. Are you going to be a homer about it?
No, there's cheaper guys than Kashner that I'm fine with.
And I will not have Pomeranz. Will you have any?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's $6,000 on DraftKings. Yeah. The Orioles have some power. It's a huge park downgrade for Pomeranz, but they also do strike out a lot, and he's like a completely mediocre pitcher. So it's just the price tag, but I think that there is a little bit of upside there for him as well. It wouldn't be shocking to see like a 6 or 7 inning, 6 strikeout game from Pomeranz at 6K here. So I definitely think Pomeranz is one of my higher owned like SP2s.
Okay. One thing I'm going to push back on. It should be incredibly shocking if he does that. He has hit the 6th inning once this season.
Hasn't he made like 5
starts? 9 starts. Here's his last starts: 2 2/3, 4 2/3, 1 2/3, 4, 6, 4 2/3, 5, 4, 5. That was from recent to the beginning of the season. This dude doesn't go deep into the games. He barely sees the 5th inning. I have him projected for 4.4 innings today.
Yeah, I mean, he still throws like 85 to 90 pitches. So.
Sure. Just wanted to get that out there, that he does not go particularly deep into baseball games. Yeah, he's 6K, so like that is not something that is like really swinging anything for me. He's at a price point where I'm not super concerned with it, but yeah, something is up where he just doesn't get a lot of innings under his belt.
But it's not like he's limited. He's pitched absolutely awful this year. Like he went 1.2 innings because he gave up 7 earned runs. He went 2 2/3 because he gave up 5 earned runs. He went 4 because he gave up 3 earned runs and threw 77 pitches in 4 innings.
That doesn't seem like a way to advocate for someone.
No, but I'm saying like if he's pitching, it's not like he's on some kind of weird like pitch count. Like if he pitches well, he's going as deep as most starters go.
Probably, yeah.
And if I roster the guy, I'm rostering him hoping he pitches well. So like I'm not expecting him to go 5 innings if he's pitching well.
Reasonable. There's certainly some swing and miss here. Your boy Keon Broxton in particular. Big fan of the strikeout, I guess.
Yeah, like 36% against lefties and higher against righties.
It's nasty. From a bats perspective, I can't imagine that either one of us are like super interested in this game, but I kind of want to be. The problem is that they're just like not very good.
I like Trey Mancini at 4,600. He actually is good, and Palm isn't very good. I think I'm rostering him because of his price, but he's allowed a 283 ISO to righties so far this season, and he pitches his home games in San Francisco. It's a pretty huge park downgrade for him, and yeah, Mancini I think stands out. Getting to other guys on Baltimore I think is fine, but Mancini is the one that I would be like actively targeting.
Yeah, no, I'd never have an issue grabbing Trey Mancini. Giants on FanDuel are a little interesting. The top of their lineup is just sort of set up well for stacking, and clearly getting to face Andrew Cashner in a hitter's park is great. It just so happens that both of these teams aren't particularly good.
Yeah.
Not a lot of power to be found.
I do have interest in the Giants too as like a cheap stack where you could get, 2 aces and some good one-offs.
Yeah. Or
Um,
Trevor Bauer plus Trevor Bauer.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's, Posey's really, really cheap and he's a catcher. Brandon Belt actually has power and he's cheap. And then you're just filling in with guys that, you hope are better than Andrew Cashner.
Yeah. Posey, $10 catcher on Yahoo today, I think is something to pay attention to. But yeah, look, if you want to get guys against Andrew Cashner, be my guest. I'll never say that that's not a great idea. The problem just happens to lie in the fact that no one on the Giants is really any good outside of Brandon Belt.
Yeah, that is true.
Game. To the Rays we go. Hit that like button while you're here, everybody, and subscribe to the channel. Lots of content coming out today. Make sure you get those notifications for when we go live. We'll touch on what that content is a little bit later. Rays and Twins, 4.5 run implied total for the Rays, 4 for the Twins. Did this game have a line before? Every game has a line now. Rays and Twins I didn't have, so you know what? I was pretty close this time, which is helpful because normally, well, I'm not. And it's just like, oh, the run total's 3.5 runs higher than that. All right. Twins line is 8. I'm assuming I have it in as 8.5. I do. Get back to it. Ignore all the run totals that I just listed off. Those are no longer correct. They will be more correct now whenever it decides to update on my screen. Perfect. 4.2 run implied total for the Rays, 3.8 for the Twins. Should be Jalen Beeks going for Tampa, Jose Barrios going for Minnesota. Not going to be a Beeks day for me. I think he's in play on Yahoo for $30. I don't have much interest in him on DK where he's 7,600. There's a lot of strikeouts in this Tampa Bay lineup. How do you feel about Barrios going up against Tampa?
There are a lot of strikeouts, but I have a couple of issues. For one, Barrios is priced with a bunch of other, really high upside pitchers. He has the 17th highest strikeout percentage on the slate this season. It's down a bit from last year, but his walks are down too. He's only walked 3.8% of hitters. I don't even want to say he doesn't have upside because he does, but I just think that he gets there less frequently than a lot of the guys priced around him that are also in good matchups. And for two, he, for whatever reason, throughout his career has been markedly worse on the road than at home. Not that I expect him, if he played half a season in Minnesota and half a season in Tropicana, I wouldn't actually expect him to be worse in Tropicana. But it's just that, we have 3 years now of him being worse in every single category on the road.
Yeah.
And when there are so many other options around him that I like anyway, I don't really think that I end up prioritizing him.
I feel the same way. I can't imagine that I get to a ton of him. Not that he doesn't grade out well. He's just in a sea of dudes, and he is not the best priced of all of them. So it's going to be really difficult to get that sort of priority. Ownership just came out. So I'm going to load that in now and just quickly circle back to everything we've talked about to see if anything stands out. So Yankees, Red Sox, 14% expected ownership to sale on DraftKings, 4% on FanDuel. No real ownership going to J.A. Happ. No ownership at all going to the Yankees, or to the Red Sox, rather, outside of JD got to 11, Mookie got to 8. That makes me really interested. If the Red Sox are completely unowned, I think that's a pretty big mistake. So that's something I'm going to have my eye on. They are basically all 1% guys right now, which I think is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No ownership going to Chacin or Archer. Little bit of love going to the Brewers. That all makes sense. Orioles and Giants. No ownership going to Cashner. Pomeranz is 7% on DraftKings. And the Giants actually getting a little bit of love from an ownership perspective. Doesn't shock me. They're cheap. That's what will happen when you face Andrew Cashner.
By the way, who do you think has a higher strikeout percentage this season? Drew Pomeranz or Jose Barrios?
I mean, Drew Pomeranz, but I hope it's Barrios, and you're just like, no, it's just Barrios.
that would have been fun. That would have been good, but no. Pomeranz is at 23.2%.
Yeah,
it's just that his walk percentage is 7 points higher than Barrios, and he's allowed a full home run per 9 more.
I wish you would have set me up the other way.
Who's his higher, Palm or Sale?
Yeah. Sale?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8% for Barrios right now on DraftKings. That seems reasonable. Like, he's just going to be a guy who shows up.
Who?
Barrios.
Oh, yeah.
8%, like, that seems exactly like what it should be.
Yep.
Some sort of slow trickle. No ownership at all going to either side of the bats in this game, and I'm not going to disagree at all. The Twins are expensive. The Rays are expensive. Both pitchers are good. I have no interest in hitting here.
Yeah, I mean, if Nelson Cruz is back in the lineup, he'd be okay at like 4,200.
Yes.
Marwin Gonzalez is okay as a value play, but there's nothing to prioritize for me in a game with like an 8 implied run total on a 15-game slate in 2019 baseball.
Let's move on. Let's get to a good game. That's not here, by the way. Reds and Nats, 4.3 run implied total for the Reds, 4.7 for the Nats, 54% chance to win for Washington. Tyler Mahle going for Cincinnati. Pat Corbin going for the Nats. Corbin, single-digit ownership across all three sites. No ownership at FanDuel at all. Corbin is the most expensive pitcher on the slate. The Reds are not a team that strikes out, or at least projects to strike out, all that much. I can't imagine paying all the way up for Corbin here. Am I missing anything, though?
No, it doesn't feel necessary to me. He's obviously a really good pitcher, but he's not even the best pitcher on the slate, and it's not a good park. And there's a million good options cheaper than him.
Totally agree. I don't have a problem paying down to Mahle, which I think is probably wrong.
I'm really disappointed you said that. I wanted you to just blow him off and then get really confused. No, I'm gonna have a lot of Mahle.
He's my second favorite paydown guy.
He still has like legitimate splits between righties and lefties.
Yeah.
So going to like a Juan Soto or Matt Adams is excellent. But them plus Adam Eaton are the only lefties in this lineup other than Patrick Corbin. He's struck out 31% of righties this year while allowing basically no power. His PCRA is 35th out of all qualified starters. To put it in, so it's at a 3.6. To put it in context, like with the guys around him, Patrick Corbin is at 3.57. Walker Buehler's at 3.58. Eduardo Rodriguez is 3.59. Zach Wheeler is 3.61. So just on this slate, you have a pitcher at $11,200 and a pitcher at $8,700 that are, when you factor in quality of contact against them, it's basically XFIP with quality of contact against them instead of a league average. He has the same PCRA as these guys that are way more expensive than him. So, the park's not good. The matchup is difficult, but I think that he is a good pitch, an above average pitcher, and he's $6,200.
I'm a fan. I don't want to be. I'm probably a bigger fan of the Nats bats than I am of Mahle. I'm gonna have both sides of it though. They grade out really well for me on FanDuel. Clearly the lefties, so Eaton, Soto, Adams. I mean, not that I'm a big Adam Eaton guy, but Soto and Adams here. I just want to have a lot of these guys. I mean, they can nuke the baseball. Massive power. I don't care, that it's righty for Turner and Rendon. I just think both of those guys are good. I'm going to get a lot of Nats bats, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be not on Tyler Mahle as a cheap SP2 to open up additional bats on DraftKings. You'd like both sides if you're playing a lot.
Yeah, especially the lefties. Like, I don't really have much interest in the Nats righties, especially because they're priced up. But Adams and Soto in particular.
Okay. Only reason, they are pretty expensive on DraftKings. It's not as bad on FanDuel, and I'm generally okay with expenses like that when you're checking off other positional boxes. And if Turner and Rendon were in the outfield, it'd be different. The fact that you can get them as a shortstop and a third baseman makes it a little bit more palatable. Yeah. Matt Adams, $9 on Yahoo. Go ahead and get in on that one too. 2% expected ownership. I'd probably have him in all 10 lineups.
Yeah, no question.
Any Reds bats for you against Corbin? I can't imagine anything looks too interesting out of potentially Suarez or Puig.
No, I don't see anything there.
I can't really advocate for going up against Corbin. Just because he's expensive doesn't make him someone I want to and low owned doesn't mean I
Yeah.
want to get something against him.
I mean, it's worth pointing out that like out of the top or upper tier pitchers, he has one of the higher barrels per batted ball percentages. So he's a guy that you could look to for one offs for home runs, but it's just not a slate where I really feel like I need to get there.
I'm really nervous every time that I see that there's a new message in Premium Golf. I don't want to click on it and check and see if it's like a guy that I need to play better. And I just clicked on it now, and I'm pretty sure that something's going poorly for another guy that I need. So
Nice.
love sweating golf.
I don't know. I might just have like a lot of late tee times today, but my winnings definitely dropped like $2,000 from the time I went to bed to the time I woke up.
Oh, mine can't drop because they're always low.
Oh, they've gone up like $600 since the show started, so that's good.
That must be your good luck charm.
Yeah, got to stay on the show all day.
I'd do it. Ooh, we should do that one day. Some sort of like DFS telethon.
I'm good. You can.
Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, I'll just probably sit here and play video games and let people watch it.
Yeah. I need Rory to make the cut is what I need.
What do you need?
Rory to make the cut.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite way here. So fade Rory.
Yeah, he was my highest owned guy, but I did play like 450 different lineups, so I still have like 250 non-Rory lineups.
I have like 1% Rory. So him dying would be great. But now that I'm speaking this into existence, he's probably going to shoot like 9 under today.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Braves and Tigers. I can't remember if this was a game I made up. It was not. 5-run implied total for the Braves. 4-run implied total for the Tigers. 60% chance to win for Atlanta. Mike Foltynewicz going for the Braves. Spencer Turnbull going for the Tigers. I'm a little surprised that the gap is so big here, but I guess it's Atlanta's offense ruling the roost. I think Turnbull's probably better than Folty. Ownership, on the other hand, big believer in Folty against the Tigers. 17% on Yahoo. 21% on FanDuel at 7,300. 24% on DraftKings. Folty getting a ton of love. Mike Foltynewicz is the chalk on FanDuel today as the 18th most expensive pitcher. Didn't see that one coming. Not that I don't think that he grades out well, because he really, really does. What do you want to do with Folty against the Tigers?
Definitely someone worth digging into more because it is a good matchup. The fastball velocity has been back up his last couple of starts. He was averaging 90. He averaged 95.4 on the 19th. He averaged 95.9 on the 24th. For the season prior to that, he hadn't averaged over 94.8. So that's really good to see that the fastball velocity is coming back. Had a good start against St. Louis. Another right-handed heavy team that is much better than the Tigers. Struck out 29% in that start, by far his highest of the season. Hasn't walked the batter in either of his last 2 starts. I think he's figuring some things out. I just think there's also a lot of pitching on the slate, and if he's going to be really popular, then he's probably someone I come underweight on. But I do think it's a good matchup and price tag.
Yeah, I did not expect to see those sorts of ownership numbers on DraftKings at 8,500. Like, I'm really surprised he has the same ownership as Zach Wheeler, who we'll get to. I can't imagine that I have anywhere near the field in this spot. On a different day, it wouldn't shock me if I was like the guy that was advocating for him, but
right.
It just feels weird. There are multiple guys that I would rather have before him on FanDuel for sure. Him getting to 21 is insanity to me. On DraftKings, I don't know. I'd rather go all the way down, or like I said, I'd rather get to Wheeler, or I don't need Folty if Trevor Bauer is 9,200.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is for me.
Yeah, I just don't.
Although he has been bad this year.
Who?
Bauer. I mean, by Bauer standards.
He had like 8 Ks in his last start, right?
Yeah, but he's just been like a guy.
Relative to his salary.
He has the 79th best PCRA this season.
I want to see what he's done lately.
That puts him between Steven Matz and Yusei Kikuchi.
2 noted powerhouse arms.
Yeah. Just ahead of John Means.
Okay, his game logs on Fantasy Cruncher look ridiculous right now. 6 versions of a start against Atlanta in there on 420. So I think Dave might have been high that day and doubled it up. Apologies if you're a staunch proponent of marijuana, but yeah.
That's not what proponent means.
Wait, did I say proponent?
Yeah.
I didn't. Opponent.
Okay.
I didn't mean to do that. It's been a long week. Either way, no, he hasn't been we'll get to Bauer. I don't expect to have Folty. Would you have expected him to be that chalky?
No, when I saw his price and matchup, I was like, oh, that could be a kind of sneaky spot to get to that I'll get to say that, oh yeah, I think 3% is too low. But no, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, seems like an easier fade. I'll probably end up with quite a bit of Tigers in this spot because of Folty's ownership.
I won't, but
there's more power at the top of this lineup than I think they get credit for.
Kristen Stewart and Castellanos have it for sure.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more that it's a 15-game slate, and like seeking out Tigers' leverage against Folty isn't something I'm going to do.
Even if he's in the mid-20s?
Yeah, it's just not high enough.
Okay. To me, that becomes an appeal. So we'll see where that shakes out towards the end. Just wish they had more lefty bats in their damn lineup. Although I guess 3 of them today is like high for the Tigers.
Oh yeah, because you count Jamer as a bat.
I deserve that. $8 on Yahoo. I think that's a reasonable third base play.
I'm sure you do.
He's hitting 6th. I don't advocate for it like that. When he's hitting leadoff, it's a completely different story for me. I don't think that's crazy, is it? It's probably crazy, right?
I mean, that first is better than 6th isn't crazy.
Exactly. I really do like Kristen Stewart, though.
Yes,
$10 on Yahoo, $2,400 on FanDuel, $3,300 on DraftKings. $3,300 on DraftKings and only at 7% ownership. Righty lefty matchup, plus you get the hedge ability of Folty. That's a play that I would really push for.
Yeah, that's the spot where like him or Castellanos as one-offs would be where I would advocate for leveraging. Like I just think that a full Tiger stack, you still need so much to go right for it to win the slate. But like Stewart lets you save salary, so he's actually getting you upside at other positions while giving you a leverage play that has some power against Folty. And even when Folty's good, he does give up power to lefties. So
yeah, that's the spot for sure. Braves bats, didn't really talk about it. Not really getting any ownership. They rarely do. Not really grading out as anything that I'm going to go crazy, but they're just like a team that exists for me. I hate it. I want to roster them every day. I wish they were the Brewers so that I could just roster them all the time.
Yeah, I mean the thing here that makes it tough, in addition to there being 30 teams to choose from, is that Turnbull's been like legitimately great against righties this year. 30% strikeout rate, 274 expected WOBA, 127 expected ISO. Against lefties, he's been a lot worse. He's only struck out 16.5%, 366 expected WOBA, 194 expected ISO. That gives you Freddie Freeman in this lineup.
Yep.
Ryan McCann, a catcher. But most of the good hitters that you would want from the Braves are right-handed, so you're getting a suboptimal matchup for them. And like the price tags on Acuna are fine. Price tags on Josh Donaldson are fine. But with so many hitters to choose from, you're going to be able to find spots that you feel, better about.
Said it best. I have nothing to add. To the Rangers we go. 5.3 run implied total for the Rangers. 5.2 for the Royals. 51% chance to win for Texas. Ariel Jurado going for the Rangers. Danny Duffy going for Kansas City. I assume that you and I are both, well, I'm not. I can't even say that. Look, neither of these pitchers should be rostered. Do you expect to get to Jurado because he's 4,900?
I don't expect to get to Jurado.
Okay. He's really bad.
There's a better chance I get to Duffy.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. I don't think I do, at least very much, but he is somewhat appealing. He's throwing his slider a ton. He's getting swings and misses. He's facing a left-handed heavy Texas lineup with a lot of strikeouts. He's not going to be owned. Texas bats might have some ownership.
They don't.
Okay, well, that could change. But yeah, I mean, Duffy grades out as a pretty decent SP2 for me. but I still have him behind like Molly and Pomeranz because of their prices.
Same. Yeah, Rangers bats getting no love whatsoever. I don't get the sense that I'm going to get them either. So talk to me about Rangers bats.
I don't think I get to a lot. I mean, they're super expensive. Like Joey Gallo hits lefties really well, so I think that he's a good tournament play because people won't go there in a lefty-lefty matchup, but you're still paying a lot of money for him. Um, I will basically never be rostering Hunter Pence at almost $6,000 on DraftKings. I don't care what kind of year he's having.
Yeah, what year is this?
I mean, like even if I believe that he has suddenly found the secret to hitting, that's still an extremely expensive price tag for anyone outside of like 5 hitters in baseball. So really tough to get there. Chu is 5,400 in a lefty-lefty matchup. Andrus is almost 5K. I don't think I get to Texas.
Yeah, I will not be getting to Texas as well, although I do say that Gallo does look good. Any interest in the Royals? They get a little bit of love on FanDuel, not a ton on DraftKings. Generally like targeting against Jurado, but I don't really like getting to Kansas City. Not the kind of team that I usually get a lot of. Do you anticipate stacking against Jurado?
I usually love stacking Kansas City, but that's not when Mondesi and Merrifield are $5,500 and Gordon is 5,100. Like I think they're a high upside team because they have so much speed and they have power, in the top and middle of their lineup, and it's a nice park shift. But you're paying through the roof for these guys. If you put it in context of Coors Field, you're paying almost $1,000 more for like a Mondesi or a Merrifield than you are for like a Tapia or a Dahl.
Yeah.
So it gets really tough. Obviously, they'll be contrarian, and you can do whatever the hell you want with the rest of your lineup, and it doesn't matter because you're contrarian. But I just think that they're a little more expensive than I would like.
Yeah, on a 30-team slate, I'm not sure I want to pay up for Royals bats.
It is worth pointing out, I guess, that there is some salary relief at the bottom. Like if you go Maldonado at catcher and you go Hearn at first base, that opens up some stuff.
Yeah.
It's still just so difficult.
It's too much for me. Although, Jurado being not good is certainly helpful.
I mean, I would love to get to Kansas City. I just don't know how I do it.
Makes sense. Moving on. Another call to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Coming up later today, we'll have the Awesome Odds betting show with Ben Rasa and Jordan Frank. We'll have the Yahoo specific DFS strategy show. Myself, Jake Hari, and the boss man, Alex Baker, Awesome himself, coming on at 1 o'clock to talk just Yahoo. Deep dive will be from 4:45. Deeper dive. See, I did it again. I can't do it anymore, man. Spag's fault. 100% Spag's fault.
I messed it up too, and I produce both of those pieces of content.
Yes, you do. 4:45 Eastern, 15-game slate. Adam and Laffy on the deeper dive, breaking it all down. And then 6 to 7, Jake Hari, Chris Spags, live before lock, going all the way up until 7:05. Get it. Get all that content. It's the good stuff. White Sox and Indians. This one will be fun. 39%. Nope. 4.2 run implied total for the White Sox. 5.2 for the Indians. 61% chance to win for Cleveland. Dylan, damn it. Covey? I'll never get that right. Ever in my entire life. For some reason, it's just not Covey to me. I want that Y to become an E, and I'll say it right every time. Trevor Bauer going for the Indians. For some strange reason, Trevor Bauer is the 8th most expensive pitcher. He's 9,200 on DraftKings. He's 10.5 on FanDuel, so a pretty big step down from Sale and Corbin. And Bauer is $49 on Yahoo. Trevor Bauer is my favorite pitcher of the slate. Pitching against the White Sox is always appealing for me. Hasn't been the Trevor Bauer that we would like him to be, but I cannot get away from him here. He is chalk, 30% on Yahoo, 15 on FanDuel is crazy, 37 on DK. He is the most owned pitcher. What do you want to do with Trevor Bauer?
The price tag's cheap enough that I'm going to end up rostering him. there's enough pitching on this slate where I'm not sure that I'll come in overweight if he's really popular like I expect him to be.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a White Sox team that has a lot of strikeouts in their lineup, not the best group of hitters overall. They have some power that can punish mistakes if you make them, as Carrasco found out last night. But the price tag to me has just come down enough where whatever is wrong with Trevor Bauer, and I think it's most likely just like command issues because we know his stuff is good. We know like he's still getting strikeouts, but then he's also getting hit pretty hard. He has allowed, I think it's 10.7% of batted balls have been barreled. That's a really high percentage, especially for someone who has stuff as good as Bauer does. So I think the issue is that he's not executing like good pitches in the strike zone, and that's why he's getting hit pretty hard. But the price tag just accounts for whatever's wrong with him. The walk percentage is high as well, or it's at 11.3%. There's like legitimate concerns here. His xFIP is 4.48 this season. I already mentioned that, PCRA, he is like not, he's 79th out of qualified starters. But when you look back beyond this season and the kind of pitcher that Trevor Bauer can be, I think that he from now to the end of the season, I would expect he's a better pitcher than he has been from the beginning of the season to now. And his price tag is dropping as a result of the first part of the season. So I'm okay with, rostering him going forward, unless I find something that is like a real red flag that I think he is something that can't just be fixed overnight.
This one's going to drive me crazy all day.
Also, one thing that I think is really important with Bauer is he throws so many pitches. Like it gives you never really get an actual floor in baseball, but it gives you a higher expectation just because even if he gives up, 3 home runs, he's going to throw 115 pitches, and it gets you, extra points, obviously.
If Trevor Bauer is 37% owned on DraftKings, do you have a guess as to where you end up right now?
Probably right around there.
Okay. Yeah. I have a feeling I'm going to end up with a little bit more. We'll see as the day goes on if anybody moves, but the $9,200 price tag is just really problematic for me.
Yeah. I think a lot will depend for me, like what my roster construction or my builds actually look like, because in tournaments I pay down at pitcher so much, and there is a really underpriced mid-range and bottom tier on the slate. So I could see where I lose some Bauer exposure because I'm doing things like Molly plus, other SP2 or something, and then just jamming in like Red Sox and Rockies or something like that.
That makes sense.
But among the top pitchers, it's just so hard for me to pay more money for guys than Bauer. So I don't know that, like, if my standard roster construction by lock ends up being that I'm paying up for an SP1 in most lineups, I think that I just get a lot of Bauer.
Okay. I asked you this before the show started. I'm going to ask you again. How much do you think DFS would change if you could roster people more than once? And this is what was brought on by Trevor Bauer and his price today.
Yeah.
How much Trevor Bauer plus Trevor Bauer do you think you would end up with? Because it would fit pretty easily.
Right. It would be like the clear cash play.
Yeah.
Like he's looking at my like early projections. He's my highest projected pitcher, but he's also one of my highest point per dollar guys, which is, unusual for a guy in his price range.
It's craziness. I couldn't believe it when I saw how low he was priced.
Yeah, like right now I have him as like the 3rd best point per dollar pitcher on DraftKings.
Okay. Behind what? Drew Pomeranz and
Michaelis.
Okay, I'm a big Michaelis fan for today. I was making a joke about Pomeranz, but I was actually right.
Yeah, Pomeranz is too.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I mean, I think that'll end up changing because I have some stuff to adjust. But yeah, I mean, it's basically the top 5 or 6 are like, Michaelis, Pomeranz, Bauer, Darvish, Wheeler, Molly.
Okay. Are we both in for some Indians bats tonight?
Yes. I couldn't remember who they were facing, but yeah, Dylan Covey's not good.
No, they're 4th for me on all the sites. Not really getting all that much ownership. Ramirez, Kipnis, and Lindor just scooting their way over the 10% mark, but they're really easy to stack. You get multiple unique positions at the top of the lineup, I'm going to end up with quite a bit of Indians here.
A quick note on Bauer. So one cool thing that Baseball Savant added recently was that you can search by zones, like where pitchers are throwing pitches. And I haven't done enough research with it yet to really know how anything translates or correlates to anything, or if it does. But just kind of an interesting thing. I just searched for percent of pitches that have been middle this season, and out of every starter that's thrown 750 pitches, Bauer is 16th out of 115 in percentage of his pitches that are just right down the middle.
That seems good.
Like the thing is though, like the top of the list it's not like it's all gas cans. Like Paddock is number 2, Cole's number 4, Giolito is 6, Sale is 8, Carrasco's 10. Carrasco does get hit hard though. So there's some questionable pitchers in there too, but I don't think from looking at the list that it's just like an automatic, oh, this guy's having issues.
Yeah.
But it's that in general, as a general rule, I would think that throwing less pitches right down the middle is probably good.
Yeah, I would imagine that would make things better. Just a guess.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. Haven't looked into it, but I would assume grooving fastballs down the heart of a plate is not going to make things better for you.
Yeah, normally doesn't.
To the Cardinals we go. Actually, any interest in White Sox bats as the hedge against Bauer?
Yonder Alonso at 2,800 is, I think, pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just got I know he's a flawed hitter, but he's got too much power to be that cheap, especially when you do talk about Bauer getting hit hard this year. I mean, he's allowed a 251 expected ISO to lefties, 386 expected WOBA. He's only struck out 22.4%. I do like Alonso because, yeah, you can, like, if you put Yonder Alonso in at first base, you can do pretty much whatever else you want in your lineup, salary-wise, I would think, and you're contrarian because he's facing Bauer. So
yeah,
I do like Alonso.
I don't disagree with you at all there. Cards and Cubs, 4.6 run implied total for the Cards, 4.4 for the Cubs, 52% chance to win for St. Louis. Miles Michaelis going for the Cardinals. Yu Darvish going for the Cubs. A lot of ownership here in pitching. 8% to Michaelis on Yahoo, 12 on DK. That's higher than I wanted it to be. 10% for Darvish on Yahoo, 16 on DK. I greatly prefer Michaelis. Michaelis is my favorite pay down option on the slate. He's not normally the guy that you think of in DFS, but he goes deep in games. He does not walk guys, ever. And I'm willing to take a chance on a guy if I can get some volume out of him when they're priced at 6,500. When Michaelis is like 7,800, that's when I feel like he doesn't have the ability to truly pay it off all that often. But at 6,500, I'll take that shot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I still don't know how much I get because I would just rather roster guys that have strikeout upside. And I think that there are guys on the slate that offer you both. Like they can go deeper in the games and they can strike guys out. Darvish has had a pretty rough year, but he's facing a right-handed heavy lineup, for example, and his strikeout percentage against righties is like 28%. Michaelis against the left-handed heavy lineup has a 15.8% strikeout percentage. Drew Palm's facing a high strikeout lineup. Tyler Mahle has better strikeout stuff than Miles Michaelis does. And because Michaelis is a good point per dollar projection, I expect that his ownership comes in pretty high. So he's a guy where I think that when I run my crunches, he probably like hits my cap. But once I start sorting my lineups based on things like target score and ownership projections, he probably gets filtered out a bit for some lower owned SP2s.
Makes sense. So you do have some. Who would you prefer, Darvish or Michaelis?
In tournaments, Darvish.
Okay. Interesting. I lean Michaelis.
I mean, it really just comes down to the strikeout percentages, and they're similarly priced. They both can throw 100 plus pitches, and one of them has the fifth highest strikeout percentage on the slate, and one of them strikes out less hitters than Andrew Cashner.
At least he doesn't walk people like Andrew Cashner.
Also true.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some Michaelis. I don't get the sense that I'll have much, if any, Yu Darvish. Not that I think he's a problem. I'm running like I'd rather have Tyler Mahle and the extra $800 and I already prefer Michaelis, so now I'm already at third guy at that range. Eventually, you just run out of ownership to give to people, so don't expect to get to it. Not that I have any problem with it. I wouldn't mind if I did. Could see things change if the lineup looks a little bit different. But for right now, I'm erring on the side of Michaelis. Not a lot of ownership going to the hitting here, and I don't really see any reason that it should. Both pitchers are solid. I don't get the sense that I want to target anybody. I do like a little bit of the top of the Cubs lineup, just in case it goes squirrely. For Michaelis, Schwarber, Rizzo. I was going to say Jason Hayward, and then I remembered that this isn't 6 years ago. Noted top 25 hitter Chris Bryant is a little interesting as well.
Yeah, clearly a top 25 hitter, but Schwarber's the guy that really stands out to me here. Still an appealing price tag, has a lot of power, facing a pitcher that, for one, gives up power to lefties, and for two, does not strike them out. That's kind of like dream matchup for Schwarber.
What are your thoughts on Schwarber leading off? It
I
flies
don't
in the
know.
face of like our traditional upbringing of baseball.
Yeah, it definitely does. It also flies in the face of, I think, the more modern thought process. Like, he's not as like Chris Bryant should be the leadoff hitter on this team, or Rizzo, one of the two.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
Rizzo 1, Schwarber 3 feels like it makes a lot more sense.
yeah, I mean, it's
Not like Rizzo doesn't have a ton of power. I mean, in Steamer he has a higher ISO than Schwarber.
yeah, I mean, Rizzo is just like, he's a good hitter. Bryant's a good hitter. They're both better hitters than Schwarber.
Yeah.
So those would be the guys that you want getting more at bats. Yeah, I haven't really like dug into the numbers, but I know that they're both better hitters than Schwarber. So it's weird in that, like you said, it doesn't really fit either philosophy, like the one growing up where you want fast guys, and the one now where you want your best hitter. He's neither of those.
Right. Jake in YouTube chat. I don't know why I said it like that. Like our Jake said, there goes narrow-minded Adam calling Chris Bryant a top 25 hitter again. Well played, Jake. Well played. Any Cardinals bats for you?
Not really. I mean, Darvish walks so many guys, and the Cardinals are so good that you could easily make an argument for stacking them, but I just don't think that it's a spot I get to all that much.
I agree. Time to talk chalk. This one's fun. I'm going to hit you with two things that I need you to help me out with. You ready?
Yeah.
You'll know what to do. Rockies and Blue Jays. Rockies, 6.9 run implied total.
Nice.
Blue Jays, 4.6. 69% chance to win.
Nice.
Yeah, 31 for the Blue Jays. Herman Marquez going for Colorado. Edwin Jackson going for the Jays. Stop the presses right now. This is all that matters. $47 for Marquez on Yahoo. $7,500 on FanDuel. This is where Herman Marquez is the 16th most expensive pitcher. $9,500 on DraftKings. I don't know why Mike Foltynewicz is getting 21% ownership on FanDuel, but you should give that all to Herman Marquez. The fact that he has $7,500 on FanDuel is comical. I expect him to be my most exposed pitcher. Talk to me about my craziness.
Did you say Marquez? Sorry, I was looking at something that Chris tagged me on Twitter. Did you say Marquez was going to be your highest owned pitcher?
On FanDuel, I think so.
Oh, okay. What's he, like, 7,500?
7,500. 16th in price.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. He has, obviously, he's worse at home, like you would expect, but, he still has strikeout upside. He's facing a Toronto team that strikes out a ton, doesn't have that many good hitters in their lineup. So I think that's fine. On DraftKings, it's tougher. I'm not opposed to him because he's a pitcher that I think is really good. But, in the context of this slate where you have so many good pitchers, I have a hard time prioritizing him over, other guys.
Yeah, he's 7% right now on DK. I get the sense that I'll probably have more than that, but nothing crazy. Like if I got to like 12, 13, 14, that wouldn't shock me at all. But FanDuel is the place where it's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. On Yahoo, he's reasonably priced at 47, but like Sale's 53, Corbin's 51. Bauer's 49. Like Yahoo has the same kind of issue with Bauer pricing.
He's $200 cheaper than Spencer Turnbull. I have Marquez 10 full points ahead of him in projections.
On FanDuel?
Yeah. It's just nuts. The fact that he's only 13% and that Mike Foltynewicz is higher blew my mind. I they're not close to me. And I think that Fulte is also a good play on FanDuel, but not when Marquez is here. I love Marquez today on FanDuel. And if you want to have him on Yahoo or DraftKings, I'm not going to tell you that's a bad idea. It's just not the same sort of pricing discount. Any Edwin Jackson for you? 5,200. It's right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I was going to say that I could actually. You had asked if I could see getting some Ariel Hirado. I could see getting like $4,600 Dylan Covey, but anyway, no, I'm not going to Edwin Jackson here. I hope to God.
You don't want him against Colorado in Coors.
Oh man, all the leverage. No, I'm good.
Yeah, I bet.
I like taking pitchers against teams with like 5 implied run totals. I kind of back off that once it hits 7.
Yeah. To be fair, it's hitting 69 right now,
I
which is nice.
I have it at 7.3.
I mean, just go with it. I didn't say it was 6.8, and I'm just trying to be right. Just a joke. Rockies are the clear chalk stack straight across the board. Yahoo, FanDuel, DK. You get a game in Coors. The ballpark is fantastic. Edwin Jackson is like the pitching embodiment of Coors. What do we do here? They're clearly expensive. Although, actually, they're not that expensive. Story and Arenado are expensive. No one else really is.
There are 2 hitters on DraftKings over $5,000 on a team with a 6.9 to 7.3 implied run total.
Yeah. What do we do here?
I mean, my plan's to just have tons of Colorado because there are 30 teams on the slate and people will go elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, like being contrarian is so what everyone tries to do, and so many people just approach something and say they're the popular stack. I can't play them without any other like nuance to it. That they're just never going to be that popular as a stack to where I would want to get away. Especially when you factor in the pricing, like you're not really sacrificing anything to get them. It's just phenomenal. Like if I would much rather have 100% Rockies than 0% Rockies.
Agreed.
So yeah, and it's the same thing on Yahoo. Like Arenado's 27, Story's 24. Everyone else is 18 or less. David Dahl is still $17 over there. It's just a really, really good spot. And because there are 15 games on the slate, 30 other teams, even if you roster a chalk Colorado stack, you can still get so contrarian with whatever else you're doing. And yeah, I'd rather just get contrarian within my Colorado stack or by who I pair them with and stuff like that than not be rostering this team.
Toppy is only 3,500 on FanDuel today. Projected to lead off lefty righty against Edwin Jackson in Coors. I don't care how bad Toppy is. Like
he's not even bad.
Well,
I mean, he was a prospect who seems to be kind of figuring it out.
He was. I do remember getting a lot of his Bowman draft picks and prospects card when I went into a brief baseball card deep dive in the early part of 2010s. The tens? Is that how you say that? Is that the tens?
I don't. There's a word for no. There's a
aughts is the one before that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
80s and 90s, like that shit rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
When you say the tens, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm going to have a bunch of Rockies. I don't care what their ownership is. Yeah, whether I'm over the field or not, I don't know. I'll be in and around at the very least. You don't get a lot of situations with Edwin Jackson on the hill. He's 6.9 run implied total, which is a run and a half more than every other team on a 15 game slate. That's massive. Now they can score 1 run today because baseball is baseball.
Yep.
But this is the best spot. Don't think that it's not. And you can really get to a lot of Rockies in cash too, just because of how like outside of Story and Arenado, everybody's cheap. Or cheap enough.
Yep.
Here's the question. Any Blue Jays for you?
They're not that attractively priced for the most part.
No.
I mean, Vlad Guerrero at 3,900, I like. Grichuk at 3,700. Both of those guys, have monster power and they're in cores. But I mean, Smoke is more expensive than like the entire Rockies team, which isn't even a joke somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Guerrero and Grichuk.
Yeah, 17 and 16% respectively for Guerrero and Grichuk on DraftKings right now. So
It's 2,200 on DraftKings too.
22% expected ownership for Jansen. If you're looking to find your cash catcher, look no further.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Saves you from having to get like Maldonado or something.
Correct.
I don't have anything else. Just play Coors. Diamondbacks and Mets. Diamondbacks 4.4 run, implied total Mets 4.6, 53% chance to win for the Mets. It's probably French sounding or something. John Duplantier? John Duplanter?
I think it's Duplantier.
Yeah. I'll go with happy that I pretty much got it.
Yeah.
Zach Wheeler. I know how to say that one. Not difficult at all. Wheeler. 28% owned on Yahoo. 9 on FanDuel. 24 on DraftKings. Wheeler is my second favorite pitcher today. Just as crazy for Trevor Bauer being 9,200. That's how I feel about Zach Wheeler being 8,700. Although, Wheeler doesn't always give me the warm and fuzzies when I get him. So, talk to me about Zach Wheeler for today. Unless you're a big fan of this French dude in Arizona.
I mean, Wheeler, I think, is underpriced. I don't think it's quite the same as Bauer for me. There are some scary bats in the Arizona lineup, but overall, the season against right-handed pitching, they've been below average. Strikeout rates around average. Wheeler just, I believe in his stuff, but he's another one that kind of just, in some of the other stats that I look at, doesn't grade out as well as I expect.
Yeah.
He's 36th with a 3.61 PCRA, which, like I said, it's good. It's right behind Tyler Mahle. But it's not like it's elite or anything. His called strike plus swinging strike percentage is 41st out of pitchers that have thrown at least 750 pitches. Puts him in the same category as he's sandwiched right between Steven Matz and Kevin Gausman. He's in a lot of the underlying stuff that I look at. He's been above average, but not as great as I think we wanted him to be coming into this season. The price tag, though, is definitely reasonable, and he's another guy that goes very deep in the games, throws a ton of pitches, like we talked about with Bauer. So, I don't have any problems with him. I think that there's probably a better chance if I had to guess who I end up underweight on, and my only two options are Bauer and Wheeler, I would guess that I end up under on Wheeler before Bauer.
Okay. I expect to be over on both. I would guess that Trevor Bauer, Zach Wheeler is my most popular pitching combination by like a country mile. And I'll still have infinite money thanks to the Rockies being cheap.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like on DraftKings, if you plug in Bauer and Wheeler, you still get $4,000 a spot. If you plug in Danny Jansen at catcher, you now have $4,271 per position.
Shouldn't be hard to fill that out.
That's pretty much where you're starting your cash builds, I think.
Yeah, for sure. That would, to me, that's the no-brainer cash option. Bauer, Wheeler.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if you end up having like $5,000 left over, feel free to upgrade one of those guys to Sale or something. But I doubt it.
Cash is going to be like everyone playing the same lineup today.
Yeah, just really hard to do on a 15 gamer.
Yeah, probably a better day for 50-50s than head-to-heads if you're only picking one.
That's a good point. Any of the French guy?
I was actually in the middle of pulling up his page because I don't really remember a whole lot about him.
Nor should you.
24 years old, team's number 3 prospect, overall number 87 prospect, according to Fangraphs.
Grades out well in Steamer.
Yeah, he does. He's made 6 starts at what the hell?
That's not what I expected him to look like.
Oh yeah, no, I saw him pitch a game and I was very confused.
Duplantier.
Yeah. So he's made 6 starts at AAA. He's thrown a total of 17 innings.
Yeah. Weird, right? I only gave him 3 1/3.
Yeah, I'm pulling up his game logs now to see if what direction he's trending as far as pitch count goes.
He's been in and out, he's been up and down this year, and recently, he's been thrown out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, he made a start on May 24th for AAA. He threw 65 pitches. So it's really tough to project him to go deep into this game, and at almost 8K on the slate, that's a deal breaker.
Agreed. Do you have any interest in Mets bats?
Not unless they're super. Whoa, Peter Alonso jumped $1,400 overnight. Yeah, that's a no for me.
Yeah, I agree. Any interest in Diamondbacks bats against Zach Wheeler's ownership?
They're super expensive too. Christian Walker at 3,500 has power.
Yes, he does. $7 on Yahoo.
Yeah,
That's the spot.
I mean, Wheeler does a good job of limiting righties, obviously, but
Yeah.
just really cheap for a guy that hits home runs.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in bats in this game. All I want is Zach Wheeler. And I am prepared to be let down by that.
One thing I guess working in Wheeler's favor is that this year his strikeout numbers against lefties have been better than righties. He's at almost 30% against lefties, and you probably get 6 lefties, including the pitcher from Arizona.
Yeah. This lineup will be really interesting to see when it comes out. A's and Astros, 4.1 implied total for the A's, 4.3 for the Stros, 52% chance to win for Houston. Mike Fiers going for Oakland, Brad Peacock going for the Astros, neither guy getting any ownership, and I really can't advocate for it. Peacock is $9,900 on DraftKings. It's $700 more than Bauer. That's $1,200 more than Wheeler. I want both of those guys if they're at the same price as Peacock. Not that I don't like Brad Peacock, but I don't have any interest in pitching here. I wish I did. It's a great park, but no pitching for me.
To me, the number one thing that stands out as far as why I don't really like Peacock is that Wheeler throws 110 pitches. Bauer is going to throw like 110 pitches. Peacock has not thrown has not touched 100 pitches this season, at least going back to April 7th. So you're missing out on basically an inning right there.
Yeah.
And then you factor in that Oakland doesn't strike out a ton. They are predominantly right-handed, which is really good for Peacock. But it's just so tough. Like, he has to be really efficient, and you have to have Bauer and Wheeler not have their best games for it to work out. And that's ignoring every other pitcher that's less expensive than Peacock. So really, it's just like a low probability play for me, and I don't see getting there. As far as Fiers, not a strikeout guy facing an Astros team that is watered down, but still not a high strikeout lineup. I'd rather get to, I think Derek Fisher leading off at 3,400 is pretty appealing. I think
flat minimum on FanDuel.
Yeah, of course he is. Alex Bregman, 4,400 on DraftKings. I don't know why his price tag keeps dropping, but you're talking about a pitcher in Fiers that gives up power to righties. It's obviously a home run downgrade going from Houston to Oakland for Bregman.
Yeah.
But 4,400 for a hitter as good as Bregman is really good. Like, I think if you can't get to Arenado in cash, like, Bregman at 4,400 is possibly even a better play.
Relative to salary, it's probably pretty close.
Yeah.
Now I'm with you. If Fisher does stay in that leadoff spot, I can see myself getting to some Astros. Flat minimum on Yahoo, flat minimum on FanDuel. He's getting the ownership, but he should. That's going to be a very popular cash game play at those prices on those sites. I don't see this game as a game where I want to get like a lot of full stacks. It's not a great park for it. It's not a great total. Peacock's good. Fiers is fine. It's just not a spot that I'm looking to get like full on stacks, but there's some interest in the Astros just because of some of their pricing.
Yeah, I agree. And Fiers is a guy that, will give up some home runs. So taking one off is pretty appealing.
Yeah, absolutely. One last call to action, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Go check out Spotlight Pitchers, which I write every day except for Saturdays, which goes to Jake. Check out Emacs Spotlight Hitters and Stacks. Check out his Yahoo specific article. Check out Jake's cheat sheets. Dropping cheat sheets for all 3 sites. So if you want to check those out, we have those posted to the site as well. Perfect time to do it. MLB Strategies, the promo code. If you want to sign up, 50% off. Padres and Dodgers, 3 games to go. 3 10-10 starts. Padres 4, Marlins 3.1, 61% chance to win for the Pods. Joey Lucchesi going for San Diego. Caleb Smith going for the Marlins. I didn't give Caleb Smith enough innings. Let me update that right now. I forget every time. He's just going dramatically deeper in the games this year than he did last year. Got to give him that extra hook. Not like it's going to matter. I'm not going to have him.
Hater.
Yeah, I'll take it. There's too much pitching today.
Yeah.
in the low teens in ownership for Lucchesi across all three sites. 11% on Yahoo for Caleb Smith, 12 on DraftKings. I might have a little bit of Caleb Smith. Like, I like Caleb Smith better than Marquez on DK. On FanDuel, it's a completely different story. I don't really think that I end up with much pitching here, even though I think both pitchers are good. What do you want to do with this game?
I want to get the Smith. I don't know if I'll be able to make it work. I think I will. But I mean, Bauer just ruins it. Like, I have Bauer projected pretty well ahead of Smith right now. But you're talking about a guy with the second highest strikeout percentage on the slate by a wide margin at 33.2%. Patrick Corbin's next at 28%. His walks are down this year. He has the second best K minus BB percentage on the slate behind Sale at 25.8%. Corbin is next at 20.4%, 3.47 xFIP. PCRA, he is 17th out of qualified starters between Greinke and Montas, just behind DeGrom as well. In good company there. He in called strike plus swinging strike percentage is in the top 10. Like, he's having a really good year, and he's facing a Padres team that does have strikeouts in their lineup. They have some right-handed power, which Smith can have trouble with at times, but I think it's a really high upside spot if he's not going to get a lot of ownership. He's the first guy in that price range that I would look to pivot Trevor Bauer to.
That I agree with. I think I might actually end up with more than I assumed I would. Coming in as my fourth pitcher behind Bauer, Wheeler, and Sale.
Yeah, same here.
So I might end up with a lot more than I thought I would. Any interest in Lucchesi? He's pretty much dead to me because of his price tag on DK. I would clearly rather have, he's sandwiched in between my two favorite guys. So
yeah. I have the same issue that I did last start against Toronto. He obviously was incredible in that start, incredibly efficient, struck out 11 in 6 2/3, but he threw 95 pitches there. Every once in a while, we'll see him throw 95 to 100 pitches, but then, like, just as often, you get him pulled at like 85 pitches or 78 pitches or something like that. And I just can't pay that price tag on this slate. Not to mention, Miami does have a lot less strikeouts in their lineup against lefties than righties because they have so many righties in their lineup. It's, if Lucchesi goes out there and he's a guy that I have to have in my lineup at 8,800, then so be it.
Yeah. On FanDuel, Lucchesi $100 more than German Marquez. Lucchesi's just priced in a way where, like, I'm not supposed to get him.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if I had to make an argument for how you get to Lucchesi on DraftKings, it's that Wheeler has high ownership. The next logical pivot is Fultonevich, who also has high ownership, and then you get Lucchesi.
Yeah.
But that's just not a spot. That's not something I anticipate doing on this slate.
Do you anticipate rostering bats? The Marlins are obviously terrible as a team. Sorry, Miami. I mean to do that to you. Today not going to be the day that they get all sorts of ownership like they have in the past. So I guess really the question is, do you have any interest for the Padres bats against Smith?
Yeah, give me some Franmil Reyes for sure. Hunter Renfroe is really expensive, but Franmil Reyes is not. Neither is Manny Machado. So both of those guys stand out as good values.
Yeah.
Smith,
I like Will Myers at leadoff too.
Yeah, that's not bad either. Smith strikes out a lot of guys. He struck out 34.6% of righties. He also gives up power. 293 expected WOBA to righties is really good. 218 expected ISO is less good. So it kind of just sets up as a perfect spot to be looking to one-offs and hope that you get the guy that gets to Smith once or twice for a home run. I think Reyes is the most likely. Like the three guys that I think are the most likely would be Reyes, Renfroe, Machado, and then Myers, like following them. But you're getting really appealing price tags on Reyes and Machado.
They're getting no ownership. Not that you would expect them to. Padres just 2% aggregate. I think it's pretty easy to come in a little bit over that and not really impact your day. Especially if, Will Myers is 1%, Franmil Reyes 1%, Renfroe 1%.
It's
Austin
like
Hedges has some pop as a 3K catcher,
Also a good point, yeah. It's like kind of the perfect spot where, obviously if you're making 150 lineups, you don't really think about it this way because you're just getting your exposures to guys. But if you're like hand building a lineup and you were trying to like construct a somewhat optimal lineup and then make some pivots, like Derek Fisher grades out in projection models as like a top point per dollar outfield play on DraftKings at 3,400, and he is. But for $400 more, you can get the Franmil Reyes at much lower ownership. And if you say like who's more likely to hit 2 home runs today, it's always Franmil Reyes.
Yes, it is.
So it's spots like that you want to be looking to for your contrarian pivots.
Right. It's not that we're saying Caleb Smith stinks or anything, but sometimes price and construction matter a little bit more. And I think that you can get to some of this right-handed power in San Diego unowned and provide yourself with a little bit of added benefit if Smith picks up any ownership.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out. So kind of like we had said that, Pittsburgh plays neutral to lefties, but it's like a huge drop off from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
San Diego plays pretty neutral for power, but it's a huge drop. It's a huge downgrade for Smith compared to Miami.
Right.
It's Caleb Smith's a really good pitcher. If you look into his numbers, he has one glaring weakness, and it's that he gives up power to righties. And you do have right-handed power in the Padres lineup.
That is quite the strength. Yeah. Weighting all of the steamer ISO projections for San Diego by their expected plate appearances, they get to 194 as a team. If I had to guess, if I just looked through every other team, I'd guess that's in like the top 3 for today. There's a lot of unrealized power in here that could just bomb on Caleb Smith. I want to have some. I get the sense that I'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 4 to 5% in the aggregate on San Diego, along with having some Caleb Smith. It's a perfect both sides of the coin today. 2 to go. Dodgers and Phillies. 4.7 run implied total for the Dodgers. 3.8 for the Phils. 59% chance to win for LA. Kenta Maeda going for the Dodgers. Jake Arrieta going for the Phillies. Maeda is 10-3 on DK. He's 8,900 on FanDuel. 44 on Yahoo is getting 9% ownership, but ultimately there is no ownership going to either one of these guys. I certainly don't want Jake Arrieta against this sea of left-handed hitters from the Dodgers. Do you have any interest in Maeda, though, or is that price just too high for today?
The Yahoo price is fine.
Right.
But no, I'm not paying over $10,000 on DraftKings for a guy who, in his most recent starts, has thrown 81, 85, 86, 84, 73, 74, 98 pitches. No thanks.
I agree. Dodgers bats?
Yes, always.
Yeah, for sure.
But I wish this game was in Philadelphia. They'd probably be like second highest stone stack behind the Rockies. But
at least LA plays for left-handed power.
Yeah, and so does Jake Arrieta.
Yeah,
he has a 6.9% swinging strike percentage against lefties this season. Glad to know you're paying attention. And a 432.
I am paying attention. You didn't even give me the chance to say anything.
I paused.
You barely paused. I'll check the tape.
432 expected WOBA, 301 expected ISO. Just getting absolutely lit up by lefties, not missing any bats. He struck out 14.6%. He's been really, really good against righties, but that doesn't do you a whole lot of good when you're facing Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy and Jock Peterson and Seager and this entire Dodgers lineup. So, I love the Dodgers. I would say that behind Colorado, it's like Dodgers, Boston, as the two teams that I really, really like.
Yeah, they're not grading out well for me on a dollar-for-dollar basis, which makes me think that I won't get to any Dodgers. This is a spot where I expect to manually manipulate to push them up.
I was going to say the same thing. They're not grading out well for me either, but the thing that I think makes me comfortable bumping them, even though I really hate bumping hitter projections especially, is Jake Arrieta is not the pitcher he used to be. But projections are still weighting that in as they should. Yeah. And the Dodgers are a young team of power hitters that are all improving at the same time. Cody Bellinger has always had power with some holes. He's pretty quickly closed those holes. Jock Peterson is a legit power hitter. Muncy is someone who projection models, I'm sure, underweight because of his history. I think it's a spot where Arrieta's worse than models say, and the Dodgers are probably a little bit better.
Yeah. Really easy to stack, too. 3 separate guys with dual eligibility. Muncy having that stupid first-second eligibility makes things fantastic in terms of getting to it. Looks like I'm going to have to fix a little bit of a hole in this sheet. Will Smith, the hitter, coming in as Will Smith, the pitcher, is not helpful.
Yeah, speaking of that, make sure when you I don't know if it's fixed yet, but make sure when you upload into Fantasy Cruncher that you manually put in your Will Smith projection because it doesn't automatically pick it up.
Good to know. Yeah, I want to have some Dodgers here. It's too interesting, and if Jock is 2% owned, and Turner is 3, and Bellinger is 5, and Seager is 4, I'm just gonna use all of this money that I'm saving on the pitchers that aren't priced where they should be to roster crazy powerful left-handed power against Jake Arrieta.
Oh yeah, and don't forget Arrieta doesn't hold runners well either.
Boom. There's another one for you guys. I'm cool with getting to some Phillies bets though. Now they do grade out well on a dollar for dollar basis. Not the best park for it. I think Maeda is good, even though he doesn't go deep into games. So it's a lot of righty, but I think the prices are fine enough that I might get to some Phillies. Do you have any interest?
No, Harper would be, I guess, the one guy at 4,100.
Okay.
He seems like he maybe remembered how to hit, but um, and he does have the platoon advantage here, which is a big thing against Maeda. But overall, it's just a ton of righties against one of the more dominant pitchers against righties in baseball.
Nick Williams is $7 on Yahoo if he's in the lineup and you need like a one-off home run flyer. Not the worst thing in the world for a minimum salary guy.
I don't think that has ever worked out for me, but I tried a lot.
Yeah, same. Final game of the slate. Mariners and Angels. 4.5 run implied total for the Mariners, 5 for the Angels, 56% chance to win for LAA. Mike Leake going for the Mariners, Tyler Skaggs going for the Angels. No ownership going to any of these guys outside of Skaggs getting to 12% on Yahoo at $34. You see yourself getting to either one of these guys?
I like the Skaggs price on Yahoo. I don't see myself getting to him on other sites though.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's just there's too many other pitchers, and he's priced normally on the other sites. In terms of bats, I'll have a little bit of interest in the Angels on, I guess, pretty much all sites. I don't know what's going on with Ohtani and his price. I'm just probably going to keep having a lot of him until, I don't know, something changes. But I expect to get to the Angels against Mike Leake. Do you?
Yes, especially individual ones. Mike Trout, obviously, but Ohtani, I'm still going to get a bunch of. I would expect at this price tag. I know that he hasn't been good this season, but I think it's being really overstated. For one, he has 56 at bats against right-handed pitching. That's not enough to draw any sort of conclusion about what Ohtani's doing. But also, so he has a 263 WOBA and a 107 ISO over those 56 at bats. Again, doesn't mean anything really in that sample size. If you wanted to look to expected numbers, 362 expected WOBA, 169 expected ISO, obviously much better than the numbers that he has put up. But then also, if you go to like his page on Fangraphs, which I didn't have pulled up and I thought I did, but if you look at like his batted ball numbers, his ground ball to fly ball ratio is much worse this year than last year. But part of that is because a lot of his fly balls are line drives. So it's not as bad as that seems. Like last year, he had a 43.5% ground ball percentage. This year, it's 53.5%. You don't like to see that. But 31.5% line drive percentage is good. And frequently, over a larger sample, those just start turning into like home runs, especially for someone with as much power as Ohtani.
Yeah.
His hard contact percentage is 46.3%, which is 3 percentage points higher than last year. Soft contact percentage is about the same as last year, 11% to 10.2%. So his batted ball data really isn't that concerning. It's just that it hasn't immediately turned into massive power. But when you look, and his strikeout percentage and walk percentage are the same as last year, so there's no issue there. It's just if you look at stuff that isn't meant to be looked at over a 56 at bat sample, you say, man, this guy really sucks this year. I don't know what's wrong with him. Blah blah blah. If you look at any other stats, like okay, Shohei Ohtani is gonna do what he did last year most likely, and we're just getting him at a huge discount, and people are afraid to play him because they think he sucks.
There you go. Yeah, I've been playing him constantly.
So
Hasn't been great.
yeah, I hadn't even looked into his stuff. I was just playing him, pretty blindly because I knew that he had not that many at bats. But I saw someone like in the industry, I don't remember who, so I'm not like trying to hide it. But just say something about he's been really bad. I think like at this point we have to consider that he's just like still hurt or something. I don't know what the rationale was, but I was like, okay, is it that bad? And I went and I looked, and it was just like outside of his actual results over 87 plate appearances total. There's nothing that says that there's anything wrong with him.
Bingo. God, the dueling Will Smiths right now really really a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I imagine.
I'm going through and deleting all of the pitcher Will Smiths from the CSV file so they stop pulling in the wrong shit.
I guess we know who's getting called up in like 2 days to start a game.
Hopefully not other Will Smith. I hope it's actual, like, I hope it's the genie.
You saw that Will Smith's walk-up song is Fresh Prince, right?
I didn't.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
I mean, it should be.
Well, they said they were talking about it on the game that it wasn't his walk-up song at AAA, and like when they called him up, he couldn't remember the name of the song he had at AAA, so he was going to just let the stadium guy pick a song for him. And then Russell Martin like called up to the booth and was like, "Nah, we're doing this."
Yeah, which is exactly what should happen in that scenario.
Yeah.
You should be using only Will Smith jams always.
Yeah.
Just be like, yeah, just rotate through them. Oh man, that like, yeah, you just embrace it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pick that music. He's the guy that sucks. Any Mariners bats for you? Top three, the Haniger, Seager, Encarnacion trio is always appealing for me.
Yeah, I agree. The issue, I guess, is that first base does have cheaper power than Encarnacion, but yeah, I don't think any of them are priorities, but they are favorably priced, and they do all have power.
Yeah. Yeah, there's power in the Mariners lineup, so if you want to try to focus on some of that right-handed power, not the worst idea in the world. 15 games up, 15 games down. Anything to sum up everything that we've just looked at? Any overarching thoughts?
Just keep in mind that it's a 15-game slate. You don't have to get super cute. I think that there are some pretty obvious spots, and I don't intend on just avoiding them because of ownership. I think that there are some pretty good pivots that you can make to be contrarian while still getting to the spots that you want to get to. I think that's just kind of an overarching theme on bigger slates always, is that the ownership's just naturally more spread out, so you can do more of whatever you want.
Favorite two pitchers on this slate today?
Like,
who do you expect to be most exposed to it pitching?
Bauer and Palm.
Okay. Favorite two teams from a stack perspective that aren't the Rockies?
Dodgers and Red Sox.
Bingo.
As far as pitching goes, I do think, at least right now, this is a slate where I'm likely to be more concentrated on hitters and spreading out my pitcher exposure.
Okay.
Normally, I find that I either have like spread out pitching exposure and then just like jam in one or two offenses across like most of my lineups, or I have, more spread out pitching exposure or more spread out hitting exposure and, jam in one or two, really concentrate on one or two pitchers. I expect that it'll be a lot of the same hitters with, different pitching rotated through.
I'm expecting to be very concentrated on Trevor Bauer and Zach Wheeler with very well spread hitting exposures. So if you're looking for two completely different scenarios, here you are, everybody.
Yeah. I'm expecting, and again, I haven't crunched anything. It's 11 in the morning, but
yeah.
My expectation and my hope, because it's what I in my head would like to do, it would be to have like a lot of different variations of Rockies with different one-offs and mini stacks, and with Bauer Wheeler, with Bauer Palm, with two cheap guys, with two expensive guys that aren't Bauer, just as many different ways as I can stack the Rockies.
There you go. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Subscribe to the channel. Coming up immediately after this, 11:30 Eastern or thereabouts. Ben Rasa and Jason, not Ben Rasa and Jason Roslin. Ben Rasa and Jordan Frank talking some sports betting across many different sports right now. The Memorial, MLB, finals. They'll be touching on everything. Deeper dive, 4:45. Adam and Laffy coming back to run through all of this. Laffy on the deep dive today. Should be out in the early afternoon. He's going to have a ton to write. And then live before lock today from 6 to 7, Jake Hari and Chris Spags taking you all the way up to 7:05. And I missed the key piece. 1 o'clock Eastern, Yahoo specific MLB strategy show. Myself, Jake Hari, and the boss man himself, Alex Osimo Baker, coming on to talk about Yahoo. If you're looking to sign up on Yahoo, I'm dropping the link into chat right now. It's a link to Emacs article that comes out every single Friday for Yahoo specific strategy. There is a link in the article. If you want to sign up at Yahoo, use the promo code AWESOMO, get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports Rewards points. Let's see, has the contest filled yet? Probably pretty close. Yahoo running another $3 entry fee, 600K guaranteed, no management fee contest today, and they are at 1,862 entries of 2,000. So if you're looking to get in, you got about 140 seats left. Hustle now and do it. Use the link in the article that I posted. Anything else?
Quick PSA. If you played over the last like 3 or 4 days, the like $150 or $100 tournaments on DraftKings that gave you tickets to the contest tonight to get courtside seats to the Warriors, those are reserved in your upcoming entries. So make sure you actually put a lineup in those.
Good shout out. That's helpful for people, I'm sure.
It's really annoying.
All right. Best of luck, everybody. Adam and I will talk to you again sometime next week, but enjoy later on.